I was driving past it on the next episode and almost stopped to get it. I was like, no, I needed to do other things. So we're here. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh no! Well, I guess this is the quick way home. Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Okada, and today we're going to shift gears from what we've been doing recently. We've been doing a lot of building, and we have got most of our electronics hub up and running now. We have a little bit more to do there from a product standpoint, mainly ramping up things that we're already making. But today we're going to focus on some other things. Most importantly, or at least most immediately, are some concerns with our rail lines. But we also want to go back to the electronics hub and start to address the appearance of it and the way it all kind of ties together. It's been a floating platform for the stations for quite some time, and I never meant for that to always be a thing. It's just that we didn't always know where the buildings were going to be, and I didn't want to connect everything to the ground and then have to delete things because the buildings may be going underneath the platforms. So I chose to put it off until we knew where everything was going to be, and then we could start to pull together some kind of motif and straighten things out and absolutely clean up that embarrassing spaghetti mess of conveyors that are under the platforms. So I also want to take care of that today. But again, as I mentioned, first I want to take care of some problems that we have with the rail line. And the first problem is actually right up there. So I'm going to head up to our warehouse, to the home station, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you might also notice, first off, that we now have a hover pack. I mentioned it, I believe, at the end of the last episode, that we had put together our temporary, very temporary little setup for basic aluminum. And one of the goals was to get this hover pack because, working on the mega project at the end of the map, all the way down in the south corner of the map, it's really a tall building. And if you haven't seen that, you should stop by and check out the live streams or even check the replays because we are making lots of progress on it. But we needed to have, a lot more mobility for there, and we're also going to need Mark V belts. So we got a little bit of aluminum going, and we've got this hover pack now, which is just fantastic, and it's been such a boon. But during the live stream, we had a bit of a problem, and the problem centers around this station. I've talked many times over the episodes that there are problems with the routing of the station and the way the whole thing is set up that I wanted to fix. And I've pushed the rails over and I've just done little things, and I've always just kind of put it off because there was no clean solution. And, like this turnaround here, I always knew this could be problematic. As you can see, there's not a lot of, room for trains to be stuck inside. And I knew this could be a problem, and well, it finally came back and got us. Let me show you a little bit of something that happened on a recent live stream. Recruiters came to high school. They're always looking for recruit people coming straight out of high school. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad on a level that I can't describe. There's no mechanism in my factory for jump starting it. We're never supposed to run out of power in this factory. Oh, I bet you I know exactly what happened. I bet you if we look on the map, we see trains that are stuck somewhere. Well, no, because if it's shut down, then there's no power to reset it on. I bet there's trains that got stuck. At the beginning of this, I wanted to fix something and I didn't. Yes, there it is. I didn't shut down the temporary train. Oh, this is self-inflicted. So as you can see, there was a bit of a problem. We kind of shut down the entire factory, and the crux of the problem is that that station right over there is taking in the compacted coal from our steel plant over there. And because of that, it has to act as a relay that goes all the way over and then eventually to our turbo fuel plant. And, you know, that is a problem when the train doesn't run. And that's, always been something that I've been aware of could happen, but it hasn't happened in the past that we didn't have enough trains running, but now we have more of them running. So this really needs to be fixed, and it's not something I've been wanting to really tackle. But unfortunately, I think the time has come, because honestly, with this turnaround right here, this is going to happen again. And this is just not a clean way. We need to bring it up to standard for the way we have our other stations. So I think what we're going to do first is to update the station, which is probably going to take us a couple of hours. Oh, looky here. It looks like the upgrade ferry has visited us again. Wow, very nice. Look at this. The whole station's already been moved. How about oh yeah. It even got the loop out of the way. Oh, upgrade ferry, thank you so much. This would have been a tremendous amount of work. I imagine it would have taken hours of moving them, realizing that they're still too close to the rails and moving them again and again until finally getting them to the final place. So that's great. That's a headache we don't have to deal with. So let's look at it, the way it is now. So it appears that we now have nice room for our storage containers that we use when we are going to large projects. You might recall, like on the current project we're doing on live stream, when we know that we have a lot of material that we need to move, we use these two rear cars to transport all the material that we can't carry on ourselves. And we just preload these containers, and we let the personal train just bounce back and forth between the job site while we're starting to build. And this is just much cleaner than the way we had it. I like this much better. Also, we no longer have the loop, so we can't have problems with trains getting stuck in the loop. And we can reclaim that space. I don't know what we'll do with it, but, we don't need to have it anymore. And finally, the intersection here, this is actually going to give us a good opportunity to talk about the process that we use when we make these intersections. Now, I have had a couple problems in recent episodes. You might have noticed at the end of the previous episode where we looked up in the distance and we saw 3 trains that were all stuck. And it was a problem over there that could have happened here because it used a kind of a modified design of the blocking. And it's just trial by error, right? We're starting to learn things. And what I have done previously in the past is I've isolated these intersections, right? So that intersection would have been isolated on all sides. There would have been a kind of a dead zone here in the middle that a train could fit in, and then another isolated intersection. And what I have found is that it's possible, though very unlikely, if you have enough trains, there can be a train that can get stuck basically in the middle while one's trying to go in and one's trying to go out. And so what I've done is I've eliminated that middle point, so they're still independent of each other, but there's no longer a space in the middle where a train can get stuck. So this seems to be working much more reliably, and just time will tell. We'll see if we can break it. But it doesn't look like we really need to spend any more time here. We were gonna work on this, but we don't need to now. So I think we're gonna go ahead and head to the electronics hub and get to work on fixing up that area, making it look much nicer, and getting the belt spam underneath all fixed. So I'll see you guys there. All right, here we are back at the electronics hub. And again, we have most of our buildings taken care of at this point. There still might be some expansion in the future, but today I don't think we're going to be doing any expansion. What we're going to do is we're going to clean up the place. Let's turn this off. There we go. And more importantly, we're going to get rid of this embarrassing mess underneath the platforms. All of this, yes, all of this is getting cleaned up. Now, I do want to implement some of the strategies that we have adopted over the time of having all this here. You know, most importantly, having signs that indicates what's going through where has been such a boon that I'm going to definitely do this for the remake of the area and probably kind of going forward in other areas as well. And I think also it's been very helpful here where I put these hanging signs letting me know what's going to come down and how much from the stations above, because you know we can't actually see where the stations are. I'm sure we can see what's coming out of the belt, but it's always good to have a nice, concise record here to let us know what to expect in case in the future we need to pull additional product off that line. We can better judge whether or not there's enough to pull off. So this is going to be quite a lot of work, especially through here. As you can see, we really are out of space. Let's see, we have power close by. Now that we have our little power pack here, this is going to be a little less painful. But I want to clean all this up as well, and I want to seal this up so that we don't have, you know, this gap. And you know, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to look at the end. I think we have half a wall height there left, and we might actually move this down if we need to be able to belt this more cleanly. But I think really the strategy is going to be is to kind of use a little sticky notes. We're going to go through here. Let's grab ourselves a sign. There we go. And I'm going to, I think, go through here and just kind of put little notes to myself. Maybe right here, because I don't want it to be on the wall, because the wall is going to be removed. And we'll put like high-speed connector and quick wire on here. So we'll just lay out. We don't need any pictures, and we'll say H connector and quick wire. And that's just, you know, that alone right there is going to remind me of what these are connecting to, so that if I start to clean all these out, I'll know what kind of needs to run over here. And this won't necessarily be where they go out in the end, right? And if I have to move them, then I'll just move the sign. But this will allow me to start deleting these belts, plan out how I want to route them, and if they can't come along cleanly, then I can move it without, you know, having trouble when it comes time to reconnect everything. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And this, honestly, this is going to be a daunting task. And I don't think there's any good way to time-lapse this, because, you know, we have a roof over our head. You know, we'd have to have a weird screenshot location, like somewhere out here. I don't think it would go well. So I think I'm just going to start cleaning this up. And as I have a little bit more of a formulated idea for where things are going to be, I'll bring you back when I have progress to show you. So I want to give you guys a quick update. There is still, as you can see, a mountain of work to do, but I did make some decisions, and I'm kind of waiting on some belting to do work for me because I'm too lazy to move stuff myself. I decided first of all to go with a different floor type, because this is a high-tech area and it felt like the concrete flooring just didn't really suit it. So I'm going with the plastic coated, and I've gone with this kind of light blue. I think this is kind of nice. But as you can see, I've also greatly reduced the floor height. There's significantly more room between the upper platform and the lower platform. And that's going to give us a lot more room to work with how far we have to bring down these conveyor lifts. And that way we can stagger them more easily. It also gives more room in case we, you know, have a situation where we need to have multiple containers. I probably won't have any full-size containers any longer, just the small ones. And I do like to have them because when a train delivers, oop, fall off the edge. When a train delivers, the station platform stops sending out its goods. So I like to have a preset stock already in a storage so that there's no interruption, and then it can backfill the storage. In reality, most of the time, it doesn't actually matter, but I prefer to do it that way. Also, it gives me a convenient place to put the signs. One of the big things that we need to figure out is how we're going to organize all of the outgoing product. And I put a sign around here somewhere. Now the floor is moved, it's a little harder for me to tell. But that's why I started putting signs. There it is. Well, yeah, that was a lot closer to the floor before. So this is just kind of a reminder that we're going to have exporting goods going through here. And there will be more because there will be, of course, the AI limiters from over there and the oscillators. Those will need to come over here, and probably some silica as well. So all of that's going to merge and go up these two different lifts. So like this one will probably be turned around, and we'll be able to bring, you know, a number of items over here and then go up, and then all the stuff being manufactured over there will come over and go up. And I think we can get away with having just one station platform that handles all of the outgoing, because these are advanced electronics. It's not like they're going to have massive quantities going through. I mean, sure, a lot of silica can come through, but we can do something to kind of choke that a little bit so that it doesn't overwhelm everything. I think it'll be okay. But that's kind of where we are right now. Okay, so I wanted to give you one more quick update before I go to bed, because this has been taking hours. But I've got a pretty good idea now and a scheme going that I think is working out pretty well. And I kind of want to show you in progress kind of my logic and what I'm going through. What I've done is I've routed all of the export goods that are going to go back to home. And there has been so much that we're doing here that has not been sent back to home to the warehouse that I keep having to come back to the electronics hub to get these items. So, you know, the overflow of the silica, for example, and the overflow of the crystal quartz, right? Because the crystal quartz is going across over to there for the oscillators. This already is an overflow belt. So I've taken out the storage and just put, you know, signs on the walls so that I know what's coming through in case we need to tap these lines for something else in the future. And that's simple enough, right? I just copied them and moved them over. And I think I'm going to go with, you know, this overhang here. Something I'm toying with, but I needed the compacted coal to come up in here, so we made a little indention. You know, this has all managed to work out pretty nicely. And we're just using, you know, wall connectors where we can to wind across and then bring things up to the top level and just kind of merging it all as it goes all the way around the room. And here's where the supercomputers come in the window. Oops, got out of electrical range, I guess. And this is where I believe computers are coming in, or no, that's going to be high-speed connectors. Those are coming in there. Computers are coming in here, and you can see how we're managing to get them all to merge. And again, you know, this is slow enough income that it's not overwhelming the system, because we're using up, you know, like the silicon and whatnot. We're using most of it anyway, so the overflow isn't overwhelming this, but we can always speed these belts up if we need to. And we will have copper sheeting, because if you recall, back at home, we're using 100% of our copper sheeting, so it never even actually made it to the warehouse. You see, that's the whole thing, right? It's got to work on one item at a time, figure out where it needs to go, avoid the critics in the crowd here that keep shooting at me, and just, you know, eventually the whole place will be nice and cleaned up. I think I'm going to call it a night because it is really early in the morning, and get back to this project tomorrow and try to wrap up this area so that I can show you the final product. But let me get to it, and I will catch you guys probably when this is done. All right, so it is done. More or less done. So you ready for the big reveal? I had to move the staircase. Ta-da! Oh, it's just, look at this. So beautiful. Look, it's nice and open and clean. Oh, look at this. Things running along the walls. It's so organized. You can tell what everything is. There's signs everywhere. I even ran power through the interior, which made it a lot easier to connect all the buildings. Oh, I am so happy with this. It is just so clean. It's like a big empty warehouse, but not empty because there are belts everywhere. But you know, it's all nice and organized. And here's the compacted coal. You know, as part of the relay. It's up and out of the way. All of the things that are going back home to the warehouse are, you know, brought up along the walls, as I mentioned. But we managed to get a whole bunch of products that are going back. I mean, a ton of products. It's kind of like watching the toy line, you know, on Santa Claus's assembly line. There's so many things that's all going through. But this is great, and this is already all set up to go home. I've already set up storages at home for them. Everything should be good at this point. So this is great. This is been long overdue getting all this stuff to actually, you know, back to the warehouse so where we can actually access all of it. So there are still a couple of things that aren't going back to the warehouse, you know, primarily like the plastic and the rubber. But, you know, that's something that we can address in the future. But there's one more thing I want to do before we leave here, which is I want to set up the last 4 machines for producing computers. I mean, they're already set up. I want to turn them on. And by the way, so I've already pre-calculated it, so you can see I've extended these signs to indicate how much is being used of what's coming out of here. So that is going to be very helpful. And yeah, all we need to do is connect a couple of things here. Our circuit boards, which are coming from the Spire facility. And we need to... another dose of quick wire. All right. And we got our little watch your step door. Because there's nothing there. But, you know, we've got our wonderful little hover pack, so that is safe. And I think all we need to do is connect rubber. It's the last thing that we need. And for landing. All right. You can see I've prepared all of this. This should be Mark 3. Yeah, that's Mark 4. So I think that is all good. And our quick wire should be coming in from the roof. It is. Hopefully I didn't miss any belt upgrades, because remember, this was originally set up to support oscillators, and then we decided to just reserve it for computers. And the last thing that we need for look at that guy right there. Sorry. Is to merge them. So merger, cut in a line, just like that. Looking good. Get rid of that. Still just need a Mark 1 line. It's not like they're producing at crazy rates. There we go. And there's our first computer from the new assembly line. So that's awesome. It's great being able to get around here, you know, from up here in the rafters. Although I really did enjoy the design of this building back when we built it. Even though now it's just a view of the ocean instead of our original menagerie. But you remember, it had to be moved because, you know, it was in the Spire area, and Update 6 just kind of put a giant pillar right in the middle of it. All right, and I've got one more thing to show you before we call it. What I did on the exterior is, you can see I did this slanted here, and we did that for all of this. and we put lights out here. So let's, we always see daytime, so let's jump to nighttime real quick, like. There we go, nighttime. Yeah, I mean, we don't see very much of this because, I've mentioned it before. For recording purposes, it's better to, have daytime so you can actually see what's going on. But I thought it'd be nice to put some lighting in here just to kind of spruce it up a little bit. The siding is pretty dark as it is in the shadows, and I just thought it seemed appropriate to shine down on, this production area. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can. There is a significant loss of frames per second, and I feel like I'm walking through molasses. And we're probably okay with just these lights, but I started putting up these floodlights to shine on the stations, and I wanted to try out something else that I've always been wanting to try out, and I figured now is the time to do it, which is putting these street lamps throughout our rail line. And I like this. I think this is awesome. It looks great. However, as I said, I'm seeing a very significant drop in performance with all of this lighting, and this is not playable. I mean, I can kind of push through it, but I can only imagine what you guys are, experiencing just watching it, in the replay, especially with, the compression from YouTube, probably making it even worse. So I'm going to switch it back to daytime so that I don't give you guys motion sickness. And there we go, back to daytime, and it's moving a lot more smoothly now. So all of these are set up on nighttime timers so that they won't be on during the day, which, that way it doesn't really impact us. But, there are a few of these strategically placed, which are all in night mode. The interior one, as you saw earlier, was not in night mode because it's an interior area. And even that is actually impacting our performance just a little bit, but the area looks so good I had to keep it. But I'm sure we are quite out of time, so I'm going to head back home because, we've done so much, and I think it's a good time to call it. I want to see real quick, like, a good indicator of what all gets picked up in one pass of all the export goods. Whoa, on my head. All right, that was close. There we go. So as you can see, it's not getting overwhelmed. This is easily managed, and that's that's not a problem at all. It's not gonna back up. So let's get home, and we'll resume there. All right, we are back home. Be it ever so humble, there is no place like home. So we didn't build anything today, but we did bring more computers online. But more importantly, we took care of some long-standing items. We fixed the home rail network finally. That home station has just plagued us for such a long time. The design had problems with it from the beginning, and it being so close to our warehouse, it was always going to be a daunting task in order to move it and just reconfigure it. But it finally got done, and I'm very pleased that it's out of the way. And we took care of the spaghetti mess under the electronic hub, and that is just, it's so clean, it's so manageable now. It's so easy to tell where everything is and where everything's going. If we need to expand there in the future, it's going to be a lot easier to tell what we need and what we have. So it was time well spent. It was nice playing with the lights, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be seeing much of that because there was just such a significant loss in performance. But if you haven't, check out our live stream. We're making great progress on the 85 gigawatt power plant, and it's going to be done fairly soon, maybe next episode, which would be next Saturday. I don't know yet because I don't know what happened yesterday because, of course, we've already had our live stream since before this publishes. But leave a comment, let me know what you think about the aesthetics of the changes that we made today. And I would like to do more with the station. We just kind of ran out of time. So be sure to leave some suggestions if you have any on how you think it should look and anything about the style. But thank you very much for coming out, and hopefully we'll see you in the next episode.